Hello everyone, this is Mumbo and welcome back to another episode on the Hermitcraft server. It is episode 91 and today we are starting things off in the little industrial space that we created in the previous episode of Hermitcraft. This is... it's not the prettiest area, but it's incredibly functional because this is where all the drops from the melon and pumpkin farm flow in, and they go into the pumpkin storage and they also go into the Melon Crafter. Now this Melon Crafter is something that I haven't used just yet, but I feel like it's a good time to try it out. Wow, that's an awfully large number of melons. Okay, hopefully I can do this fast enough to... Oh, wow. I might have crafted too many of them. I didn't... This is an enormous quantity. Oh, no! I can definitely feel my VW bus heating up at this point in time, but, I mean, we are flying through, by the way. We've actually managed to clear out all of those, so now it's just a case of clearing out the ones on the floor, and we will have crafted up the whole batch. That was quick and painless. I normally hate crafting up melons, but that has actually done a wonderful job. So if I just quickly refill all of these chests, that fixes up the storage system, so now all of the melons will flow back into there, and as you can see, we've got ourselves nearly one double chest of melon blocks. Brilliant. As I said earlier, the only thing that was slightly hindering progress was the fact that we had a handful of pumpkins in the system, so I'm going to add a third shulker box loader in here that should hopefully prevent that from happening. Just doing my weekly shop over here. What do we need? 1 diamond for 5 stacks? Yes, please. I will be for sure having one of those. Pistons, 4 diamonds for 32. Now that seems expensive. Anyway, back over at the melon and pumpkin farms, this little shulker box loader is now all fully completed. So I'm going to load that thing up. That is now perfect storage. Anyway, let's get out of here and work on something else. But before we actually do leave, this is a mess. And I've been trying to think in my head how I'm going to easily unload all the items from these shulker boxes into my storage system. And I think I've come up with a fairly smart idea that I think we're going to work on at some point over the next couple episodes, because it's going to be difficult, but I think we can create quite a smart addition to the storage system which will make life a lot better. I actually can't stop thinking about it right now. It's literally all that's on my mind. So I thought I'd try my best to distract myself from it by working on another complicated redstone project, and that being the Sahara Warehouse. Now I know that Iskall is away at the moment, so I'm going to have to do this lone wolf style, but I'm sure he'll be very happy to see all of the pulse extenders in place once he returns. Now I need to familiarise myself with how we actually built these things, because they're a little bit weird. Okay, so if I get this straight, we take a monostable output from this dropper right here, this dropper hopper monostable, that then runs through into this pulse extender. We then take the output from the pulse extender and run it back across into this system right here, which is a falling edge monostable circuit. Now in theory, this falling edge monostable circuit should be in place already in all the designs, which it looks like it is. So all we have to do is build these sections. Lots of pistons, lots of hoppers, lots of comparators. And this is why Scar is an incredibly rich hermit on the Hermitcraft server. I've probably spent at least a stack of diamonds just in today's episode alone. The first one has been constructed, and now it is just a repeating process from this point forth. So that goes up like this, and then... Okay, so it looks like we've got a block. I think we've got a repeater here, and then this area is the actual redstone clock. It's not that difficult, and I think once I get into a rhythm, it's going to become a lot easier, as long as I don't fall off blocks like that. How many have we done now? So we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the 6th one. There's 47 in the entire place, which means that I have got 40 left to go. Nice round number. I actually think that this will work best in the form of a third-person time-lapse, so let's get the camera account, chuck it up somewhere in the ceiling, and then we'll be able to watch this and prepare for lots and lots of mistakes and lots of me just going back and forth and maybe setting myself on fire. I mean, I can imagine that's going to happen. Out of frustration, that is. Not by accident. Out of pure frustration. Now, in today's super fast time-lapse chat, I thought I would talk to you about my life. Give you a quick life update, because as you guys know, everything is going on at the minute. So there's 2 main things that I want to discuss here. Number 1 is my house. As you guys know, I'm in the process of buying a house. And as always, I've said that it's incredibly stressful. Well, it's become more stressful because there's been a slight hitch. And it's not on our end, so we've done everything. We've signed all of the documents that we need to sign. We've done everything. We've been brilliant. We've been so fast. We've been responding to everything really quickly. The people who are selling the house, who really want to get out of the house, for some reason, are being a tiny bit slower. And it's now looking unlikely that we will be able to move in on the date that we wanted to move in, which obviously is quite upsetting, especially because we planned everything around that. So we have internet being installed, we have everything being done that week, the week that we move in, so that it can all go smoothly. And yeah, now it's kind of been put on hold and we don't really know where we are right now. So I'm kind of all over the place, which brings me on to my next point, which is a few people have been mentioning that I haven't uploaded anything to the filming channel for about a month. Yeah, that is the case. Unfortunately, that's just how it is when things are going crazy. I have actually been trying. We've been trying our best to film some mini documentary projects, but for various different reasons, they've all kind of fallen apart. So I'm going to put that on hold for the time being. And then I'll continue work on those videos when I get into the house, because obviously they're ridiculously time consuming. I really put my heart and soul into them, and I don't want to rush anything on that channel. So I hope that clears everything up. Anyway, back onto the Hermitcraft server. Oh, before we do though, if you can hear some rustling, it's because I'm in a very big coat right now. It's about -2, which is quite cold in the camper van. Ladies and gentlemen, we are done with the warehouse redstone, at least the complicated element of the warehouse redstone. Oh, oh, look at this. Look at how cool this thing looks. Is this not the greatest thing ever? This has to be one of the greatest things ever. Seriously. I'm not joking when I say this is probably one of the coolest looking redstone contraptions I've ever constructed on the Hermitcraft server. And obviously, you know, I should add, obviously me and Iskal constructed it. We did all of the stations together. In fact, to be honest with you, Iskal did most of the stations because I'm so slow at building redstone things. I don't know what it is. I'm terrible at it. I get things out of sequence and I mess it up. It's all horrible. But this is all constructed and it looks nuts. Seriously. But there is a slight problem. The way that we redistribute the empty shulker boxes into the correct modules is by having all of the modules filled. So only the modules that have been used, which have less shulker boxes in them, will actually have shulker boxes returned back to them. The only issue is this of course means that we have a lot of shulker boxes in the system. We have got, well, we'll have 9 down at the bottom there. This one's been changed, but we'll have 9 down at the bottom there. We'll have 9 in here, and then we'll have 5, 5, and 5. Now this means that we need 33 shulker boxes for each one of the modules. We've got 47 modules, which means that is 1,551 shulker boxes that we would need to make this work. That's tons. With that being said, I think I've come up with a potential solution that should help us reduce it. So I'm going to take out all of this. So all of this needs to go. And then all of these hoppers need to go as well. And we're going to shrink this thing down a little bit. So here is my slightly wacky idea. What we have is a snaking line of hoppers that kind of make their way around like this. And then that comes out this way. And then we can wrap around like that. And that should hopefully do the trick. Now the only thing is that it is going to use a ton of hoppers, as you can see right here. Considerably more than it did beforehand. But that does look like it will function. And it looks quite cool. So this setup here reduces the number down to 1,081 shulker boxes. Still a lot of shulker boxes. And unfortunately, because of the space constraints, the next modules are lined up right here. So where we could normally take a redstone output out of this thing, that's not going to be possible. Anyway, I want to move away from the technical side of things just briefly, because I actually haven't looked at this yet. I have not seen the shop front to Sahara. And hilarious, I don't even know if I should When I first announced Sahara, I said that this was the shop front for Sahara, and that is entirely because of Grian. Okay, me and Iskal would be talking, we'd be going back and forth, chatting about Sahara and things like that. Grian was in charge of doing a lot of the designing, and he would say, oh, by the way, I've come up with a design for my shop front, and then he showed this. And we were like, I mean, fair enough. I mean, it's cool. It's a bit out. It's not very similar to the Sahara build, but that's fine. I get it. We can have like a small English shop for our store design. So both me and Iskal thought that this was the actual shop design for Sahara. It was only about a week later that Grian explained that no, this was his Sherlock shop. And this was going to be the Sahara building. It's so ridiculous. But yeah, I gotta say, it looks absolutely awesome. I can't wait to get all of the things on the inside of here. I can't wait for it to open. It's an enormous project. Huge. Way bigger than any of us kind of imagined when we first started it. But, I mean, it's been so much fun, and it's given me so much reason to build more ridiculous farms. It's perfect. It's like the perfect project for Hermitcraft, and I can tell that you guys are just as excited about it as I am, which is always good to see. But for now, we're going to move away from it, because I actually want to do some work over on my base. It's been a while since we've done any form of project over here, but as I mentioned earlier on, I've been thinking a lot about the shulker box storage systems, and that side of things, and I think we have scope to give it a go in my base, because we have got quite a big chunk of space that we're not really using here in the form of the gigantic disc. So I think what I'm going to do is I've chopped out a little space down here. It doesn't have to be big, and I think there's only 6 shulker boxes I really need. Redstone box, rocket box, food box, general box, wood box, and base box. That's it. And all we need is that little storage system there, and then it'll be automatically sorted using redstone, which I'm now going to have to try my best to work out. There are a handful of different improvements that I want to make to my redstone sorting system. Let's start things off with the shulker box one. Now the key here really is speed. What I want this machine to be is as fast as a hopper. As fast as a regular hopper right here, because of course that's how fast my storage system is. And that makes things a little bit more complicated, so I'm trying to work out some designs here, but it's tough. And so far I've spent exactly 1 hour on this thing, haven't really made any progress either. The problem is my items are just flowing in way too fast. Okay, we're gonna have to expand the height of this thing, but I think I've come up with an idea to hopefully make it work a little bit better. And that idea actually seems to be functioning, which is quite exciting. So here we have our 3 shulker boxes out the front, and if I put something like light blue wool into the system, we will see that all makes its way through pretty fast. I mean, check that out. So that's all now gone in, and the system's going to run for a little while afterwards, but it doesn't make too much noise, and there was no lossage. Now, to see how fast this actually processes its items, we can take a look at this, which are items that aren't actually accepted by the system, and you can see that it's not actually far off just a regular hopper, and that is perfect. That's what I was hoping for. In fact, you know what? I'm going to do a race. I actually set up this hopper line over here just so I could remind myself of how fast a hopper is. Okay, I mean, it's a little bit slower. It is a tiny bit slower, but considering there's a lot of sorting going on here, it's not actually too bad. They're kind of comparable. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mock up the system that we're going to be constructing on the Hermitcraft server, so you can kind of see where I'm going here. We have got a little circuit a little bit like this, and just something that looks like this. It's probably going to be a little bit more spaced out than that, but it's so you can get a rough idea of the look I'm going for. And I've got to say, this has taken me a long time, but we've managed to get there. So there is the input chest that will go up where all the current chests are right now. Then all of this will be underground. Then that right there is the output chest, which is actually going to be running into the rest of the sorting system. So let's quickly make sure that this is working correctly. So if I take, say for example, 16 diamond blocks out of this chest right here, that means that when I feed the 16 diamond blocks into the system, in theory, they should hopefully make their way into that chest. So let's see. Okay, I'm probably going to need to put some covers over the top of these things, because otherwise we're going to lose some items. But there we go. So all of those made their way in nice and quickly, and if we actually take a look, if I put some items in that aren't actually on the inside of the system, obviously it takes a little while for the items to actually go through all the different stages, so it's kind of like a decent length of time of transit, but the actual flow of items, you'll notice, is pretty good. So we managed to maintain that speed throughout, which is fantastic because that's kind of my main concern. So back on the Hermitcraft server now, I think we ought to cover up this hole that I created earlier on in the episode and make it a little bit further back. So our input chest is going to be going in place right about here, and that leaves us with plenty of room for more circuitry, and I'll explain that in a little bit. No, I'll be totally honest, I wasn't really planning on building these in today's Hermitcraft episode. I thought that would be a project for another day, but having done the redstone, I'm in such a redstone building mood that I feel like we should just crack on through. And you know what, the design itself actually isn't that complicated. Most of the time is spent in the research and development. These things, they're not ridiculous. I mean, they really aren't. And I tell you what, life seems to be on my side to a certain extent because I built this way too close to my border wall. But just through sheer luck, the redstone clock, the only thing that is sticking out far enough to actually run into this wall, is on the correct layer, so that this little cutout right here lines up perfectly with the redstone clock, so it's not actually going to be an issue. Now that, I mean, that's a sign from the gods that I'm doing well. And there it is. First module, all completed. So I've got some test items in here. If we take a look, so if I put 32 sand in here, then that will go up to 1 full stack. If I put 9 of this packed ice in here, then that will boost up that level. And then the feathers are going to drop right the way out the bottom. So let's give it a test. 3, 2, 1, go. So the first thing that we need to watch out for is the sand. And that is all going in really nice and quickly, perfectly synchronized, looking cool. And hopefully we should see that all of that makes its way in absolutely perfectly. It got me scared. But it seems to be working. Okay. We've also got packed ice. And the feathers have made their way down to the bottom, so it did work. I got nervous, but it does seem to be functioning correctly. I guess the sequence would be randomized because we're using droppers. So I suppose there was some sand and some packed ice in there. So occasionally packed ice will go through, occasionally sand will go through. You never really know what's coming through. Now this right here is the second module. So we have got, I guess we need a repeater facing in this direction, running out from this comparator, so this is going to create the little comparator clock, and then we're going to have a repeater facing in this direction, set to 3 ticks. That lines it up perfectly with what's going on with the hoppers, and then we need to set that one to subtract mode, and that is everything. So this is our pair of shulker box storage systems. And as you can see, I've kind of spaced them out a little bit just so we have a little bit more room to play with. And then I think in terms of decoration and things like that, I'm not even sure what to do. Maybe glass roof? I mean, I want it to be visible, but I don't know, I don't want to go too crazy with it because I don't need to. This place already looks pretty crazy. Now the only thing that there's left to do is do the connection of these two things together. So we're going to have hopper lines and the item elevators and everything like that, but it's a tiny bit more involved because obviously we have things in the way, so I'm going to have to work something out there, and I'm not 100% certain what that's going to be. But also, there's still a bunch of redstone logic that I need to work out too. There's a ton of stuff that I want to be in this area that is going to make our storage system even smarter than it was before. The first thing is, I want to have a non-stackable item filter. So if we take a look in this chest right here, terrible example because there's not very many of them, but there are a few. There's a handful of non-stackable items, and obviously they can't be sorted at all by the sorting system. So I'm going to kind of jump that step and just take them out and then put them straight into this item stream right here, hopefully to reduce some of the lag on the server. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is to take all filled shulker boxes that I've put into the storage system, which of course are non-stackable items, and I'm going to take those and I'm going to work out that they are in fact a shulker box by using some redstone magic, and then we're going to empty all the shulker boxes so that the actual items that are inside the shulker box actually make their way into the storage system, because it's really frustrating just having things like this lying around in my miscellaneous items. So those items are going to be removed from the inside of the shulker box, and they're actually going to be put into the main bulk storage system itself. So it's going to be really quite smart, and it's going to make life so much easier for us on the Hermitcraft server. But anyway, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I've got time for today, so I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button, and if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later. Oh, and as per usual, film and channel stuff, link will be on the end screen. You guys know what to do.